Orleans Fire Rescue Building Committee. If you would like to join us online, you can do so by phone or webinar ID, and you can find the connection information on our town website in the agenda. So I will introduce the members of the board from my left to right. We have Fire Chief Jeff Deering, DPW Director Rich Waldo, Peter Canine, Rick C., I'm David Little, Select Board Member Mark Matheson, Emily Miller, Executive Assistant Laura St. John Dupuy. Also in the audience, we have Mike Solitro, the Special Project Coordinator, who I'm sure you've already had a chance to meet. And
That's not Laura.
excuse me,
Laura's not here. Laura's not here.
did I mention her name?
You did.
Instead of Mark.
You introduced her.
That's okay.
Oh, it's on my list. Sorry about that.
Mark Real, Assistant Town.
Knows who he is.
Sorry about that, Mark.
Okay.
So on the agenda, we have the first item is public comment. Do we have any? Seeing none, this is our designer kickoff meeting with the Glan Architecture Studio. Just before we do that, if I could ask, Rick Pomeroy provided us with a committee update. If you don't mind, Rick, if you could just review the design update and schedule update. The other item, this wasn't an agenda item, so I don't want to go too far into depth with it.
Terrific.
And then we'll get the team up.
Well, good evening. It's nice to see everyone. So, you know, we're really in the early stages here. We just barely, we don't have the Gallant Group under contract just yet. We've received a proposal from them last Friday, and we've gone through that. We had a brief meeting with Mark and Mike and the Gallant Group and my group Friday afternoon. We have a proposal in hand. We're just going through that now, and we'll be making a recommendation to the town manager shortly. Because the schedule is so tight, we wanted to stay on track. And Ted and his team, well, they'll introduce themselves in a minute, have already started doing some of their due diligence. They actually had some tours that they conducted today for some of the neighboring stations with the chief. And so we're really trying to get this moving as quickly as possible. So there's not a whole heck of a lot to report to you tonight, but it would be great to get some FaceTime with Ted and his team, so I'll sort of turn it over to them. Just so you know, we had looked at a first phase or phase one schedule. We're right on track. The goal was to be done with solicitation and begin our design in mid-December, and that's really right where we are. So we've provided you a quick little schedule update. As we move forward, our schedule will become far more complex, and there'll be a lot of moving pieces in it. So right now, it's just a simple, I think the Gallant Group has a work plan that we're going to be talking a little bit about tonight. But again, really started it last Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock. So we just wanted to give you an update and get you to know the team.
Great.
Okay? Great, thank you.
Okay, may I call you Ted?
Please call me Ted.
Would you
And
like
if you
to-
refer to my last name, Ted Galante.
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 Okay.
That's okay. That's okay. It's not.
Would you like to introduce the people with you?
Sure. So Ted Galante, Galante Architecture. Paolo Carissimi. Paolo has been with us for 20 years. 20, huh? Since 2005. Yeah. Paolo Carissimi, principal and project manager, will be overseeing the project with myself. Also is Tina Taños, who's the assistant project manager. Tina has been with us for a while, and Tina actually works from Korea. She's married to a gentleman in South Korea and came back for this to start the project and works from South Korea. And when we did the feasibility study a year ago, Tina was working on that from Korea. So we, what that translates to is a 24-hour production cycle. We have What's fantastic is that I'll be at a meeting at 7 a.m. and I'll get end of day reports. We have two people remote in Korea, Tina and Evelyn, and then we have remote people as the world has been in that position in and around Cambridge where we are, just people working from home. But if they work from home, they have to do end of day reports. We get end of day reports at 7 a.m. and so it's really, for me, exciting because that's the end of day, but it's our start. So that's who's here. We're a firm of 30 people, much wider staff. You may or may not meet some of those people in the course of things, but we will be the faces that you see all the time at building committee meetings and reporting to you and answering questions and asking questions, etc. So we are really excited to be here. We are delighted to be part of this project. Chief Daring has been great to work with. Mark and Mike have been great to work with. The town has been great to work with during the feasibility study. We're really happy to be back. And we know a fair amount about the building program, because we did the feasibility study, we know a fair amount about what we need to put into the building. We're starting to look at what could fit on the new site, and I'm just going to take us through that in a second on the screens. We know the topography is going to be tricky to work with. That's a big one out there, and so that's kind of what we know at this point. We haven't done any in-depth studies yet. That's the next phase. Taking the tour today of a couple of stations with Chief Daring was important, really to hear from the chief and to start what I like to think of as kind of a group think about these projects, right? What happens if we do a two-tier project? A three-story building? What happens if we do a two-story building? What are the implications? What would he like to see in the building? All of those things start to come out of conversations like this, and so it was really good to do that today. So I'll just go, I have a couple of quick slides to click through. I think I can do this in arrows. Just to start to talk about, the overall site where, the Orleans Elementary School and fire rescue down in the bottom portion of the plan, and as an air photo, and then abstracted into drawings. When we talk about 58, we're going to be talking about the existing building. When we talk about 56, we're going to be talking about the former dental practice. I don't know that we'll be talking a lot about anything in the back just yet. I think we wanted to just let you know that we are aware of all of those pieces back there, and that while we develop the site, we're thinking about those things. Setbacks on 56, you can kind of see the existing building is just kind of kissing the setback line there. These are zoning setbacks, right? The zoning requires us to set things back a certain distance. We're starting to look at that. The topography is from the GIS. It's not official topography, but I think a survey is imminent. Rick Pomeroy's group has been organizing a survey and getting that to happen very soon. We're taking a close look at the topography for various reasons. We know that, from this edge of the site to this edge of the site, east to west, it's a pretty tight site for the building, but we're confident we can get it to work. We've talked about a few strategies, and we understand that we want to, front the building or deploy. We want to deploy onto Eldridge Parkway proper, whether that's the front of the building or rear of the building. We'll talk about what that means as it develops. And then in terms of a work plan, we're in the later, the end of 2025 here, really notice of award, starting kickoff meetings now, and our goal is to start schematic design as we move through the winter months, January, February, March, and get to a place where we can get some cost estimating done and have a site development and a building plan developed in a way that gets us some reasonable numbers, and we'll be presenting that schematic design to you guys along the way. I don't know exactly what the meeting schedule is. We can talk about that. And then, you know, gain approval, town meeting. We've got town meeting on our schedule and on the calendar, on the schedule here, and then hopefully roll right into design development, leading, you know, through the summer months to the end of August, and then construction documents in the fall, leading to bidding around this time next year, or in the winter of next year, with construction starting in March, hopefully, depending on winter and weather and all sorts of things. And then, you know, the 14 to 16 month construction administration schedule. And I think, you know, we have, as we unpack the schedule further, I think this will get updated periodically. For example, we know that we're leaving the firefighters in the existing building right now, so we don't have to build a temporary quarters, and that saves quite a bit of money. That will have time implications when we move. There might be a phase 2 when if in theory the firefighters are in the existing building. We build the new fire rescue station. We move them over to the new fire rescue station, then take that building down, and then do site work to make that site parking something. We have to think about that, and that'll unpack in the design, and that'll unfold in the schedule. So I think that's something that we don't know enough about yet. That the design in schematic definitely the design during schematic design will inform how the construction schedule goes and whether it's phased or not. I don't know if that was clear. I hope so. So that's where we are. That we're happy to be here. Ask any questions and.
So you are right that it's a topographically challenging site, and small. I'm a surveyor and engineer by background, so I know you have your work cut out
Yeah.
for you. But that being said, you seem pretty positive about making it work. I like hearing that.
I think we can do it. I think we did some early studies that we're not going to share, but we think we can make it work.
Great. So questions from the board. Chief, do you want to start off?
I'm excited to have Ted and his crew involved in this project. This is the third project I've done with Ted related to the fire station. We did a feasibility study, the campus study, and now we're at design, so it's exciting to move that forward, and I'm grateful for that. I think, if I may, just talk a few things that are important to the station, the new facility going forward, is, you know, building it not only for the current but the future needs of the department. I think that's got to be an overarching theme. And as far as priorities in line with the mission of the fire department, number one is response time. The design of the building needs to integrate the response time of the vehicles leaving the building, but also the internal response time of the firefighters from wherever they are in the building to how quickly they can get on an ambulance or a fire truck and respond. So that's number one priority for me. Number two is the health and safety of the firefighters that work in that building. That's the appropriate separations, hot, warm, cold zones, red, yellow, green, however we want to talk about it, and appropriate decontamination. With that is air handling, HVAC, how we separate those things, and as well as fitness and that type of stuff to ensure the mental and physical well-being of our firefighters. And then the last thing I want to talk about is just training. I think having training spaces within the fire station that are essential, one, for the certifications that our firefighters have, but moreover, our people participate in high-risk situations. They need to train for them. We don't have those facilities currently, and this is an opportunity to build those into the station, whether it's on the medical side of our operation or on the fire side of it. I think those are sort of like the overarching priorities. There's other things that I would love to see in the building, but I really think we need to, from the outset, let's build it for now and the future. Let's make sure it's response time capable and the health and safety of the people who work there, and then training. Those are sort of the things that I think are really important. I'm very confident in the team that we've assembled to do this, but those are the things that are important right now.
Thank you. Rich?
Thank you, Ted, for the presentation. Happy with the team that we got here. I'm happy that you have some background knowledge of this project. Given the tight schedule that we have, I think that's going to certainly help. Do have a question a little bit on the schematic design, though. I know the schedule's up there right now. Do you think you'll be able to deliver an initial schematic design to the committee fairly quickly after you're under contract? I mean, obviously you're not under contract yet.
Yes, the answer to the question, short answer is yes. While the contract is being sorted, we're working. So I think we know enough about the program. I'm confident in the chief's priorities, and I think we can get there and get some concepts to you all so that we can start an active conversation. And so, yeah, I do think so.
That's fantastic. And just for the long-term approach to the additional parcel that we're taking ownership of, do you envision that just being combined with the original one, or still too early to tell?
I do think that they should be combined together. If I scroll back there for a second, I think erasing this line would be really helpful to everyone. We just are providing objective information tonight and not proposed information yet, other than the schedule is proposed. But I think erasing that line is beneficial to the town for many reasons. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Can I ask a question tangential to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, we know that the access to the station right now is across property that belongs to the Nauset Regional School District, and it's an easement that we have. This might be a Mike Solitro question. Are we interested, or should we be interested in ensuring that that easement stays in place so that we have more flexibility? Because, you know, you do have setback requirements listed there up along the actual property line, and we have an easement beyond that now, so that might be beneficial to us if we were able to continue with that easement.
This was something that did come up at the joint meeting back in the summer about the access for the current station. I think removing the easement is not something we would be looking to do. So if it's not formalizing it further, keeping the easement in place makes sense, given what we're looking at. If there's a design that does not need that space or does not require it, I think that comes up. But I don't think anything definitive has been kind of determined yet, but I think it would probably make sense from what we're looking at.
You know, I think just, so, if I might, Mr. Chair.
Please.
The other thought I had was, and you know, Ted, you just kind of prompted something in the back of my brain here with this, because, you know, we had looked at our campus plan earlier and all these things, and the potential of having a community center or whatever, and I'm not sure that the town's gonna go in that direction. I don't know. We've talked about, you know, recreation space if we took over some of the middle school property, and this could be converted to recreation space, but because we're not going in that direction either, is there, certainly there's benefit to maintaining that access to the back part of the site where 58 is. And is there something that we could look at in terms of keeping the station there? Because why build brand-new training space in a new station if you could have really big, extensive training space out of the old station, as an example? I don't know, you know, specifically, but, you know, if we look at other services that, you know, I know in the past we've had the issue of, you know, people walking in for wellness checks and all the things that you do. Is that something that we could do in that back station so that it's not bringing a lot of traffic to the station itself? I don't know. I'm just thinking about what are the things that we could do that would be beneficial to the fire department and be cost-effective to the town if we hung on to that station and converted it into some of those other uses.
I was thinking along the same lines when you were talking about tearing it down and reusing the site. I think you bring up a good point, Mark, of just looking at the viability of perhaps becoming a training facility. And that, I mean, that takes up a lot of space.
Love that idea.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to propose otherwise. In terms of the easement, just given with the program that we know and between the emergency vehicle traffic and the any kind of civilian or firefighters coming onto shift, maintaining this easement would be beneficial to the town and to the project. Keeping the building, part of the building, tearing it down, something we can talk about. I hadn't, yeah.
I mean, it's a minor detail, I believe, but I think, Rick, that these properties are land courted. I think if they're registered properties, so to eliminate a property line, going through the land court process takes a little more time, and you might want to discuss that with the engineer once you get moving forward, because it's not a simple process of doing the survey and recording at the registry of deeds. You have to file it with the land court. There's a filing process, so it's probably worth looking into at some point. I'm sorry, Peter, anything?
I'm encouraged by the fact that this is your fourth round and you're well into the issue, so other than that, I'm pleased you're on board.
Thank you.
They stole my thunder. That was my thing. Leaving the station up because I feel like it's going to cost a lot more than everybody thinks to take it down. And plus, it's a great place to train and store things. So I wanted to make sure that some of the concept was bringing that into play.
Okay.
And also, if we presented it in a way to show the cost savings of how much it would cost to actually demolish and level the site and things like that, it would be an easy sell. So.
I'm on board. If you could just give me the names of your two associates and their spelling, please, so for the record.
So Paolo Carissimi, Paolo. First name, last name, Carissimi.
Carisf? SS.
IMI.
Okay, thank you very much.
Christina Antonios, so Christina, Christina, Antonios, Tanios.
Thank you very much. Anything else, Mark?
Nope.
Emily?
Yeah, really happy to have you guys on board. Cookies were delicious, thank you. Yeah, I think that's a great thing to investigate, is keeping that building up and doing some of the stuff that's possible in there. Because just the idea of trying to squeeze that onto that and and given that topography seems extremely challenging.
Yep.
So that's very interesting. Great idea.
Mark?
Laura?
Yes, Laura, any comments?
No, I'm just really excited to have Ted and the team on board, and with Rick and his team and all of us, I think we're going to really build something that works well for the community and for the fire department. So,
I hope having this many members is not daunting to you.
No.
I think you'll find, we've got some pretty good expertise up here, so I think it's going to be a good project.
Great to hear. No, I group thinks are always important, and I think the projects are usually better for it. So, yeah,
That's great.
that's good.
Mr. Chairman, can just add one more thing. So I really just want to give you guys a heads up on one of the more challenging that's not as apparent, but to serve this facility by wastewater is going to be a challenging project that we're probably going to want to start early and kind of work through the concept process with you guys. Because of the potential that we may serve this by sewer, but the challenge is there's no sewer in the general area of this facility.
Right.
So if our backup tends to be, or happens to be, a Title V system, that's going to take up quite a bit of space, available real estate for your design. So I think, as we get into the process, we get you under contract, we start talking, we start meeting regularly, I think we're going to want to inch that one forward, inch by inch, so we know exactly what we're looking at.
Yep.
There's a potential of serving this facility by sewer, may end up being cost prohibitive, and I think we just got to finalize that and get that nailed down. So we got some thoughts. We got a good wastewater team behind us as well that we can certainly meet at some point. but I just wanted to make you aware of
Yeah,
that.
thank you for raising that. I knew that there was a townwide sewer project going on, and that would be critical to think that through. I think for us, getting through the schematic design, getting the building placed, and then we start to hit some of those triggers, and I would like to bring engineers to have those conversations to figure out exactly where things are going to go. So we'll have a chance to talk with them about that is the goal, so.
So just, again, you keep bringing this stuff up, so I have to just kind of like jump on, thanks. Would that be the potential of having to have a Title V system in there to service the new station? Would that be something where we would want to make sure we could get that property line eradicated between 58 and 56 so that, potentially you could go onto the 58 property for Title V and not take up space in the 56 that's kind of critical?
Well, I mean, at least from my preliminary review, and I think we're all on the same page, is if we're gonna put any part of the building on 56, we're gonna have to get rid of that line.
Right.
We
I
get
think
the
it
building
becomes-
set
I think
back.
it becomes a building issue. The septic, you can cross the property.
Exactly, so if we
It-
put the
it-
I wasn't sure
septic
if
on
that
it.
could cross the
No,
property line or not.
it's more of a building issue, I believe.
Exactly. Yeah, so, anyway, so that was one thing. I think the other was you worked on the previous feasibility studies, you kind of worked on some dollar figure numbers, estimated cost of construction. Can you just give us a sense of where the material market is right now? I mean, we all just lived through COVID and everything skyrocketing. Are we seeing things come down? Is there benefit to waiting a little bit on this project for construction? We're looking at 27, which I think is a good time frame. Do you have any expectation or any knowledge on where you see building costs going?
Would you give out more cookies, please? We are currently, we design a lot of public safety facilities. We have one in North Billerica, a small two-bay station, and the number is 920,
Yeah, it's about
nine 940 a square, something 940 a square foot, something like that. Again, two bay, not the size of this building, right? I think that one's probably a 9,000 square foot building. We're doing two public safety buildings in Chelmsford. Each of them are 9,000 square feet. Those numbers are $1,000 a square foot. They're not. None of these buildings are crazy radical. They are straightforward. What we've been doing for decades. That's where the numbers are trending. We're building a bigger building here, so that square foot number, the dollar amount per square foot may be a little bit less as we look at a larger building here, and so that may help us. I think in the feasibility study, we had $870 a square foot, if I remember right, for the square footage here. If we start going vertical, three stories, retaining walls, I just don't know. Like that, it depends on how this shakes out. I think in the feasibility, we were thinking about a long horizontal building, flatter, 2 stories, not as compact. That may impact costs. Numbers aren't going down. I'd like to say otherwise. I wish I could say otherwise, and maybe Rick will say otherwise, but we haven't seen numbers go down, unfortunately.
It's the holidays, Rick. Give us some good news. Costs going down?
So with respect to numbers, and this is to both Ted and Rick, if a year goes by, cost per square foot goes up what percent? 5%? He's nodding 5.
I think we're in the 5 to 6%. That's what we've been tracking, cost
That's what we've been
estimations.
seeing the
Yeah.
last couple of years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It may be getting a little flatter. The economy's getting a little squishy. It may be a little tougher. So maybe it's starting to level, but that's just hearsay. That's not fact.
We've received bids on a couple of projects over the last couple of months, and we've been seeing the contractors very aggressive because they're trying to fill their coffers. The material's not coming down. The manufacturers, once they get their numbers to where they think they belong because of COVID, we're just not seeing the numbers come down. To try to gauge where things are going to be 2 years from now is impossible. You know, there was a time when we were running at 5% escalation. In some cases, it was 3.5% before COVID. And then we saw 2 years of solid double-digit increases, and no one could forecast that. So trying to forecast where we're going to be at, when we get to bid this project is going to be very difficult. What we're doing along the way, though, is check estimates. We'll do them at schematic design. We'll also do them at design development phase, and we'll most likely do 2 different estimators. So we'll try to keep our fingers on the pulse as best as possible. And the estimators, the good thing about it is that they are estimating, that's what they do for a business, and they're estimating every day of the week. So even in between our check estimates, if they start to see things on the rise or starting to slow down, they keep us advised of those. But our theory at this point is the best thing you could do is get on the street as soon as possible. The longer you take with your decisions and you know, getting the bid documents squared away, the more you're going to see an increase of at least 5% a year.
So just to clarify, we are going to have 2 estimators on the project, one on the design side, one on the OPM side?
Yeah, we talked about that last week, you know, enrolling a third-party estimator. So that's definitely something that it's very important, because the estimators see a lot of things the same. In some cases, they may see things differently, and it helps us to identify any different vision between the two. So, yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anything else, anyone?
Mr. Chairman? Just one question. I'm surprised no one asked this. With Tina working remote, and she's proven that she can do it quite well from Korea, what do we do about the baked goods?
Well, she might have to fly to the U.S. periodically.
Her mom's in the States. Her mom's in Boston, so.
We're going to have to make that connection between us and her mom, too.
So you flew just for this meeting? Wow. Thank you.
Well, we flew in for the interview, but then I guess we're here now.
Great. So, I guess this is a question for you, Rick. When would you suggest our next meeting date be? Do you have an idea of when the survey might be complete?
That's going to be, they're going to be 6 weeks. That's what they're looking at. So I think you're meeting on the first and third Mondays of the month.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to suggest that maybe we get back together that third Monday in January.
Okay.
I think that's the 19th.
It's a holiday.
I'm away that week, actually.
You're away that week?
I'm away
We
that
could
week.
do
We could do the following week,
the 6th.
or the previous week.
I would aim for the 26th, because we have, we're not going to wait for the survey. We should wait for the survey, but I don't think the project has the luxury of waiting for the survey. Rick is pushing the surveyor. As I understand it, the surveyor wanted more time, but but I think we have to get out ahead of that in order to meet the March deadline. So I think we're going to start designing a building now. We know a fair amount about the site. We don't know everything. There may be some uncertainties in that design because we don't know all the topography. But I think we have to start getting a space plan together that Jeff's comfortable with, that you guys are comfortable with, and then reconcile it when the survey comes together.
Oh,
So-
I think you'll find the GIS info pretty accurate.
Yeah, okay.
It's been my experience that that's the case.
That's good to hear, because we have a really bad story to tell, but not about Orleans.
Well, I'll probably come back to regret saying that.
No, but no, that's our intent is to hit the ground running, because we know we have a deadline in March, and we want to get something in front of you guys as soon as we can. Reconcile it with the survey.
Great.
And just bear with us as we get through that 6-week period, 8-week period to reconcile it all, but that's our intent.
Quick question. So thinking about this in regards to percentages, right? Getting, each month is basically 25% of where you need to be schematic design-wise in order to get this done by the 1st of April.
That's
right?
interesting, yeah.
So that means, the second week of January, you're 25% into this, right? So you should have some ideas of concepts of how the building is going to be laid out.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm just wondering if we get too far ahead of ourselves and push it too far, almost into February, we've gone past a suitable amount of time for the committee as well as the chief to take a look at these different concepts to figure out, okay, where is this building going to be located on this piece of property? Here are 2, 3 different options of how this layout, of how it's going to be situated here. I just don't want to go too far and have you go too far down a road where it's too late to kind of circle back and say, oh yeah, we didn't want it to look like that, we'd rather have it laid out this way. It's just an idea.
No, I hear you. Thanks for the concern. I'm not, so I don't know the exact schedule with the building committee, but I'll be in touch with the chief every week. Like he'll have eyes on this constantly, assuming that's okay with everyone. I don't want to step on toes here, but the idea is that we need the chief's buy-in as we're doing this, and I want to make sure he's comfortable with that, and then of course you guys have to be comfortable with it. So I hear what you're saying. I don't want to go too far down the road and have to backtrack either. We want to hit the deadline, and we want to hit it effectively and efficiently. So, caution heard. I don't know exactly the
So a month
strategy.
versus 6 weeks doesn't make a difference.
Say that again.
So a month versus 6 weeks doesn't make a difference for the next meeting.
Well, we're working every day. We've got working group sessions scheduled on a weekly basis, and we're going to be proceeding, and then we'll be presenting to you the results of those meetings. We certainly hope that we're not reversing, as Rick has mentioned, in what we're doing, but we're relying on the interaction with the working group to, sort of vet out these ideas and thoughts and ideas and come to you with more solutions than options.
Are you suggesting meeting on the 12th instead of the 26th? Is that
Well, I
where
think
that,
that's what Rick was alluding to.
is that where you were trying to get to?
Just an idea, didn't
No,
know
no,
if it would be
I-
appropriate, at least in the beginning, that we meet sooner rather than later. I mean, once we get a better understanding of how the team works together, it may not need to be as often, but just because you're right out of the gate, it may be better to meet on the 12th. But again,
Can you do that, Ted?
Let's do it. Let's do it. I heard what you said. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
if that's okay with the
Yeah,
rest of the.
I'm okay with that. I was just, I want to make sure that I think we can do that. Yeah, let's do that. Paulo may not be here, but we can do that.
And you can stay in Korea.
Yeah, I need to be with my own.
Tina was only married 6 months ago. She has to go back to Korea. Hasn't even been 6 months.
So I think we're good.
Can I bring one other thing up, just while we're discussing this? I think it's valuable that this committee visit other stations sooner rather than later as well. As Ted and his group start to bring potential solutions in, how we compare those to what is out there, I think is valuable. So we have sort of a basis, and I think it would be valuable for the members of the committee to visit some of the other stations. We did that in a previous version of the committee, Peter.
I'd second that. That
And,
was
you
invaluable.
know, I think just, there is, I've had conversations with Ted and the group today. We visited 2 stations just to kind of look at a couple different things, but I really do feel strongly that I think the members of the committee would benefit from that. And I don't know when we fit that in, because I agree with Rick's timeline. We're on a very tight timeline here, but I think that's all that makes that much more important. So we're not 8 weeks or 12 weeks into this and we don't have a basis to look at other things and see what's working and what's not working in other facilities. So I just want to put that out there, and I'm happy to arrange that on behalf of the committee whenever, but I would suggest that we do visit perhaps Chatham, Brewster, and Hyannis would be the top 3. They're the most current headquarters stations around us. There's newer substations, Dennis Station 2, Harwich Station 2, but those are substations, and the functions of the facility we're proposing, we need to encapsulate. I think that would be valuable. So I don't know how we want to fit that in, but I'm happy to
I don't think we need to
arrange
do
it.
that on a Monday.
Yeah,
I think if you want to toss something out
Okay.
to perhaps Laura or,
No, I'm happy to work on that, and
Yeah,
we'll connect with
I think that's
those
great.
departments.
any of those three-story buildings, or are they all?
They're all two-story.
Are there any three-story
The
buildings?
one
that
we
know
did
of?
look at today is Harwich headquarters, which was built in the mid-90s, but it is built into a hill, so it is 3 stories on the back side of that building. So it does have that feature, which is why we looked at it, but as far as many of the other layouts, it's an older station now, so the other parts of it are not as relevant, in my opinion, but it does have that 3-story piece of it. And surely, if we wanted to look at that, I can make that happen as well.
No, I would, if you want to suggest a time and,
Okay.
and have Laura get in touch with all of
I'll
us,
have
I'm
her
sure
put
we
it out,
can.
but I think it would be valuable.
Can we drive up in the fire truck?
We could definitely do it in one of the fire cars, yeah.
Same.
You gonna ride on the hood?
Yeah.
I have a question. Can I just?
Yeah.
I'm just curious just looking at this, this timeline, what you anticipate having on, like, for example, January 12th for us to look at? And then you said you have a March deadline, meaning public presentations? Or, like, are you gonna, is your thinking that you'd be done with the schematic design by March? Or are you thinking, I'm just wondering what.
Yeah,
what
I
you're
think,
thinking.
I think what would, the primary target was to get a design finished with numbers for the town meeting. And the cost estimating period is at least 3 weeks. So we have to be, warrant article and all those pieces, we have to work on those dates and times. We'd rather not change the town meeting warrant article if we can avoid it after the warrant article, but sometimes it happens in a crunchy deadline. So I guess, if you're asking me to zoom in on the schematic design schedule a little bit, and by the 12th, I'd like to have probably 3 different options of how the building might come together on site, talk about the pros and cons of that, probably site plan, floor plans, probably not elevations or anything vertical just yet, unless it's a site section, because we have to understand the topography and how the trucks roll in 2 directions if that happens. So I think for the 12th, it's probably site plans and floor plans. 4 weeks later, some development of one of those probably, or maybe it's A, B, and C, and A and B are combined. You want to see A prime or whatever the letter would be, and we would combine it and come back with another one like that with elevations and things, and then refine it a little bit further into March. And so it's really mostly architecture being talked about, buildings being talked about for the first 3 months. Engineers take a look at what we've done and they start to write narratives about it. Okay, here's the MEP kind of idea. Here's the whatever civil engineering kind of idea, structural. But in this case, given some of the sewer and septic concerns, I think that guy may fold in earlier. I don't exactly know when, but that's kind of the thinking.
That's helpful, thank
That
you.
help? Good.
Quick question. Rick, your schedule is different than Galante's schedule.
Yes.
So I'm just thinking if we can have one master scheduler.
We will, yeah.
Yeah, so that we can take a look at it, so we get a better idea. Because I know Emily was looking at this one, but that one up there,
Oh, yeah, I was looking at this.
yeah, is different in regards to,
Yeah, we haven't really meshed our thoughts and
Yeah.
ideas just yet. We wanted to get something in front of you today. We're literally on day 1.5.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Friday afternoon, there was a discussion of, okay, let's get together. What are we presenting on Monday? And so we just jammed a little bit. But we do, Rick and I have to coordinate some of this, and we'll get that.
We all set?
No, thank you for asking that question, because I was going to ask the same thing, what to expect. And if I can see what you envision on the site and how you plan on laying it out, I think we can have a much more in-depth conversation of, what direction to go next. I just think the committee should also be cognizant of who else we want to run these schematic designs for as we get closer to town meeting, just to, get support for the project, should we need to. Nothing we need to discuss now, but just something forward-thinking, because before we know it, March is going to be here, and I don't think we want to go to town meeting and just 7, 8 of us that are here, the only decision makers on any schematics. So might want other people to weigh in.
Oh, that reminded me of one other thing. I agree with you. We need to think in advance. We need to get ahead of that. And also, I think I can speak for Kathy when she will say, we need to, on points that it will matter, engage the school committee, or at least run things by them, keep them in the loop, safety, effect on the school, all of that.
Community meetings, getting design in front of people is something that we would also help facilitate to build support for town meetings. So we would be engaged in all of those things, school committee to community support.
There's some great staff in Mark's office that can help with that.
Okay, fantastic. And the other, one more piece while I'm thinking about it, we're meeting on the 12th, which is a Monday, I think. We're going to try, and you guys tell me, to get this to you the Thursday or Friday before, so you're not looking at it fresh on a Monday night. So I don't know if there's a person, you keep mentioning Laura.
Got you
Mark does not look like
touch-
Laura.
No,
but-
I'm not Laura.
But I'm assuming that there's someone that we can send it to that will distribute it to you guys.
Yes.
It'll be probably draft form when you see it, maybe a little cleaned up over the weekend before we get it to Monday night, but
Great,
yeah.
that's great.
Not to belabor the conversation, because I think we've beaten it up enough, but just as some guidance as you move forward to potential options for the site, I'd rather see everything, what's possible, versus an interpretation that you may think that we want to work within certain bounds, or we don't want to go near the school, or we do want to go near the school, or we don't want to go in the adjacent property and things like that. So, obviously, we know the parameters of the site that we're working with, but if there was design alternatives that made sense, that, in a perfect world, if you were designing this without property lines, without abutting buildings, if we could see that as well, just one or two. And like I'm saying, it's just pencil line drawing of the outlines of the building, not really the details of the building, but potential layout options that would help the chief respond better on Eldridge Parkway, just might make the flow of the building work better.
Yep.
So I'm hoping you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
no, I totally get it,
You know,
totally
we-
get it. I don't mind presenting sketches, design sketches, rough ideas. I mean, you guys all seem knowledgeable and you can read a drawing. So happy to do that and happy to talk about the pros and cons of that stuff and kick it around here. As long as it works for the chief and we can get it to work for the community, I think that's.
Perfect, thank you.
Which would include or may include zoning relief.
Thank you. I was assuming that was the case, but yeah.
Yeah, for instance, with the police station just down the street, that required several exceptions to the zoning bylaw.
Right.
So we're not adverse to that.
Yeah, zoning board and planning board, I guess, are the two that we're gonna,
Site plan review
yeah,
and zoning board, yeah.
yeah. Okay. Great.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so we're planning on a 1/12/26 meeting. We normally meet at 5:15, so you can pencil that in. And can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously.